Before diving into the 5 steps, the first thing to understand is that the argument is more the end of a way more complicated process. In most cases, it is going to be between you and someone who is in your relationships, either personal or maybe at work, but very seldom will you have an argument with somebody you have never seen before. It can happen, but most cases it is going to be with somebody you already know. And the kind of more vulnerable, not uncomfortable thing to realize about this is that usually somebody has a hold on you and can trigger you emotionally if and only if you had some need for security, for being reassured, for being not controlled but guided maybe at some point, or being maybe validated, recognized, and because of that need that was not completely fulfilled, and it may be something really unconscious. Maybe your dad kicked you out of the house when you were 12 years old, and it is still a wound somehow. So when you see somebody who looks like your dad or who has some behaviors like that, it kind of triggers something. Maybe not this one, but I'm just saying it can be really deep. When you have somebody who is having a hold on your mind like that, sometimes it can go, I have seen it in therapy, it can go really super deep on things you have no awareness of. Anyway, that being said, the idea is that some people may have a hold on you, whatever the reason is, but the conclusion on that, before getting into the 5 steps, the thing with that is that no one on earth has any sort of right to hold your mind in any sort of way. No one, nobody, no matter what is their status of authority, their name, whatever, no one has the right to have a hold on your mind. Not in this generation, not in this time, not in any alternate universe, whatever. No one has the right to decide for yourself what you should or should not think or how you should behave or whatever. So first step, letting go. I'm saying it is a more complicated process than just the argument, because the argument is the end of the process. The beginning is what I call letting go here. Just accept in the beginning that not everything you say will be received positively during the interaction, the argument. And the idea is, how much are you willing to let go so that you can take advantage of the conversation. Quite often people will just mirror you. If you prevent them from finishing their point, if you interrupt them non-stop, they will do exactly the same thing with you. And if they have been doing that on their own, change the demeanor, change the behavior. Start yourself by pausing, listening to them in a calm way, and it will encourage their unconscious mind. If you maintain your frame, it will encourage their unconscious mind to do the same, to replicate. So a first big thing with letting go here at the beginning of the process is you have assumptions, you have convictions. The idea of winning an argument is how much of that are you willing to not diminish, not destroy, but alter, adapt. You are going to need to be flexible into an argument, to adapt some of your points of views, to alter maybe your perspective, not be so rigid and strong anymore, and alter, adapt. It doesn't mean change your point of view, it means altering, malleable, flexible, be like the wind, be like water. The Bruce Lee phrase, I think, be like water, my friend. Anyway, just alter your behavior and alter your perspective, your strong-held points of views. Maybe some things you believe are not completely true. They probably have a base, a hold of reality, a base of reality, probably some details in your perspective, in your views of the world are not completely held in truth. So the idea is to let go a little bit of your convictions, let the other person get some early wins, should I say, so that you can regain control later in the conversation. Let go of control a little bit in the beginning, let them speak, let they say all the disturbing things they want to say about you or whatever they want to talk about. Let them say all of that. Diminish the level of control you try to have in the beginning so that you can have that control again later, as we're going to see in this video. In the beginning, let go of control. That is the beginning of the process. Stop trying to lecture people on why you are right and start diminishing the level of control. Let them express their points of views, and then we can move forward without getting into an argument that is not even supposed to happen when you complete this process correctly. The second step, which has to be done obviously ahead of time, not even during an argument, but before. Again, it is a more complicated process than just I'm arguing, he's a douchebag, I want to prove him wrong. Yeah. Before that, before getting there, defining boundaries. That is the second step, defining really clear, strong boundaries. Basically, think for a minute, what does it look like? What does it look like somebody that you know, or maybe you have seen, somebody who does not let himself or herself be walked over easily? Somebody that kind of almost no one can walk over in a conversation, in life, whatever. What does it look like? Somebody who is like that. You have probably an example in mind of someone like that you have met, you have seen maybe on movies. Some actors are doing that really beautifully. What does it look like? And then the question is, okay, that person I have in my mind, what is the main difference between that person and me? What is the main difference? The main thing that makes me more vulnerable and that makes that person unshakable. What is the main thing? Is it a question of voice tonality? Is it a question of the words they use? But in which case, which words specifically, and how can you use the same words? Stuff like that. Is it their eye contact? What is it specifically that is really a difference between you and somebody who does not let himself walked over, who does not bend the knee in any kind of occasion? Once you know this big difference, you can evaluate for yourself, by how much do I want to increase my boundaries? Maybe you don't even need to get that strong. Maybe you don't even need that. Some people need to really be tough because they are in the military or they are dealing with physical violence. That's another context of life. If you don't even need to handle physical violence in your job, maybe you don't even need to be that strong and that tough, but probably that you will need to increase the strength of your boundaries. In which case, by how much? On a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being like the most unshakable person on earth, by how much do you need to increase based on where you are right now? To interact, to face the people who are too negative in your life or the people who try to control you, by how much do you need to increase your level of strength, your boundaries, so that those people don't have any kind of hold on you anymore? Or more generally, what do I don't tolerate anymore in my life? What do I not tolerate anymore in my life? What is the one thing or the one set of behaviors I just don't tolerate anymore in my environment? Some years ago, I had somebody who was, like usual, trying to lecture me on what I was doing wrong, and I should do this, I should do that, I should, with my job, with my career, I should engage on this, and putting a lot of blame and fault on me, like, oh, you have failed at this, you should have done that. And at some point, I was just telling that guy, yeah, fuck off. Like, you don't have any invitation in my life anymore. I don't need anybody who is criticizing me on that level. So now we're good to go, bye. And he got, well, he was drunk too, so maybe a bit of this, but he kind of got aggressive. Like, he even pushed me like that, like really physically, he pushed me. I did not respond. I was like, yeah, fine. Do you want to punch me? Go. And he did not punch me, but he was kind of trying to get the control over me. There was a long story with that guy that he had been controlled in the past, a very long story. Anyway, but I was just not tolerating that behavior in my life, not at all. So I was like, yeah, dude, we're done. And he tried later to apologize tons of times through text, saying, oh yeah, I'm sorry, I shouldn't have done that. But if I say you're done with me, you're done. I don't care it is alcohol, I don't care your girlfriend left you, I don't need people like that in my life. Whatever the reason is, I don't need people like that. And it is extremely hard to piss me off, extremely hard. Therefore, once you have crossed that line with me, you're done. This is a boundary. I know that about myself. You don't need to get the same thing for yourself. That's how I handle my relationships. You don't need to do the same as me. It's really personal. I just know that about myself. Once you clearly know what your boundaries are, then you know when to say stop. Then you know when to say no and when to, as I said, let go of control because that person is a bit toxic, but at the same time, it is not the end of the world either. So, okay, let's give that person some room for arguing, whatever. and some other people, done. Who are the people for you need to get rid of, and who are the conversations you need to really stop? That is really up to you. It is really personal, but define what your boundaries are. Then step number 3, deciding which trail to follow. So here we are going much more into the actual argument. Now, okay, we are there. We are in the actual conversation, the tough conversation where somebody is trying to manipulate you, or you just have an argument about something legitimate that has to be talked about. But that is difficult because the person may be really toxic or really aggressive or really wounded and insecure, and they're always trying to get validation from you. Something that happened to me some weeks ago. Anyway, and define in the argument, in the conversation, which trail do you want to pursue, to follow, and what are all the subsequent debates or the smaller debates that are not really of any necessity. Many things during a conversation are not going to be really relevant. Some things you will need to pursue that and like, whoa, I'm not going to let go of that. Like, let's talk about this. Even when people don't want, they're like, oh, no, it's not important. It is important. Let's talk about it. And some things you can be like, okay, like I disagree, but well, whatever. Do I agree that blue is better than pink? Maybe we can just move on and go to the real target of the debate or the argument and just let go of unnecessary details. So again, the idea is to clarify with yourself, where do I want to bring this relationship? What am I willing to accept, to tolerate? What am I not willing to tolerate anymore in my environment, in my life, all of that. Because once you clearly know what you stand for and why do you stand for this and who are the people you want to surround with, it is way easier to mention, to voice a disagreement and to voice an agreement. Sometimes some arguments may be based on really BS, like somebody presupposed you meant this or that, whereas it was not even the case. And let's say, imaginary example, somebody is thinking you are criticizing them because they drink too much, which you don't care about, but because they feel insecure about this, they are putting that fault on you, like you're judging them, whereas you don't. In cases like that, spot that and say, dude, I don't care what you do with your body, with your consumption. It's not my life. It is not my matter. I have no right to judge you on that. Let's get rid of that. I don't care about that. Now, the real thing I want to tell you about is something else that has nothing to do with the alcohol thing. Figure that out for yourself. In a conversation, what are the little details that really don't matter at all? And even if you're right and they're wrong, let go of that. Okay, fine. You disagree, but fine, let go of that. Get on the real thing that is going to lead to a solution. Not adding more negativity, but leading to one clear, concrete solution that will end the argument. Aim for the end, not for making the argument last forever. This is really useless and is really only bringing nothing more than pure negativity in your life. So step number 4 is the art of coming to an end, deciding what the end must be. Clearly understand what is the issue. Okay, that person you are arguing with, they have one issue with you or with what you stand for. Clarify, what is it about? And it is never, ever, ever, ever about the first thing they talk about. There is always a past negative experience that led them to get angry at you or to dislike what you do or what you say. Clarify, maybe not play the therapist role or, oh yeah, I'm gonna help you. Some people will just hate that and they will even retreat into their shell even more if you try to open them. So not about that, but clarifying. It's more about clarifying what are we really talking about here. Because most arguments are not really about the surface thing of, oh, you picked that outfit today, I told you to not pick that outfit. It's not about that, it's about something deeper. Clarify what is the deeper thing, at least have a grasp and understanding of, okay, that person is arguing because, and it's not the surface reason, there is something beyond that. Because they have had a bad day at work and because what happened at work. Figure that out. What happened at work that day that made them go so aggressive and angry? Figure that out and then you can proceed with, okay, we are into an argument, we're going to find an end to the argument, not finding whose fault it is, but finding an end to the argument, and a positive end that suits both parts in the argument. So it's not about finding fault, it's about investigating for solutions, investigating which solutions do we have at our disposal here with what we have, without needing either more money or more this, more that, those people. With what we have right here, what are the solutions available? And start leading the conversation. You take the lead, you control the frame, hold the frame, you lead the conversation into a solution you propose. The first one may not work, propose another solution, investigate. You don't like this proposition? Okay, why? Why do you don't like this? Because this, because that. Okay, I can acknowledge I was kind of a bit too harsh on this. Okay, let's reevaluate. Maybe I can do this, maybe we can do that. Start firing off like this. So propositions means to get out of this situation. One big thing to understand is that when you have been elaborating, finding solutions, answers, trying to find a compromise, if at some point the person is just arguing with everything you say, never wanting to put any effort in the relationship or at work, if it is at work, or in your family, if it is in family, when the person never wants to agree on anything, always criticizing, always blaming, always it's your fault, it's never mind, it's always, at some point that person, the answer is simple, out of your life. And you don't even talk to them anymore, and when they text you, you reply with yes, no, yes, no. That's all you reply. That's how I do it personally when somebody that I don't want in my life anymore is texting me. Either I have clearly said we're done and I have thoroughly explained why we're done. And in that case, I just don't reply. But usually when you get a conversation like that with me, usually you don't contact me again. At least nobody ever tried. And for people that it was kind of negative, but they are not really a toxic person. They are just like some people I don't really want to talk with. I will answer them with just yes, no, not interested, maybe, no, not at all, goodbye. That's all I will say. And I'm even having fun with this at this point. So they may keep trying to make me react. I don't even care at this point. Like, go find another victim, somebody else you will complain to, I'm fine. And finally, the last step, number 5, which is kind of going after the argument, or maybe a midpoint if you're into repetitive arguments with the person, with some toxic person in your life. Step 5 is your inner dialogue. Very important, because quite often your inner dialogue will keep running things you hoped you could have said, or things you would like to say later to this person, that person, and that you didn't really allow yourself, or you wish you would have the guts, the balls to say it out loud and you don't. Whatever the reason is, those things drain energy out of you. Those inner dialogues, constantly ruminating negative thoughts, or arguing with somebody in your head, or rehearsing what you should have said or what you would like to say. This is draining energy out of you, and we need to clean all of that out of your head. The process for that is to presuppose, first of all, that any negative scenario or like a negative dialogue like this running in the back of your head, this is coming down to a blocked, repressed emotion. Either you have been hurt. Quite often, if you have a feeling of contempt or condemning, blaming others, usually what your unconscious mind is trying to say is, I was hurt by that person, by this thing, or by something similar, something that has threat to this person or to this environment I am criticizing. I was hurt. I'm not saying you should go back to those people and tell them, oh yeah, you were right. That is personal, depends on the situation. It is really dependent on who you are dealing with. Many factors here. However, doesn't matter what happens and who it is happening with, you need to unload, to release, to heal. So the first thing with this process of inner dialogue healing is to figure out, whenever I am arguing in my head, what is the feeling I am trying to communicate? Or if you want some dissociation to make it more easier, what is it that the part of me that was hurt is trying to communicate By calling that a part of me, you are helping yourself to unload feelings that may be really too hard to unload and to release. What this part of me is trying to communicate with me by endlessly arguing like this and by endlessly rehearsing what I should have said, not said with that person. What is the feeling that is blocked, that is trying to get healed with that, because of that, or linked with that, related to that? And then, okay, what steps can you take to start releasing that feeling or that wound, that hurt? What steps can I take now to start healing from that?